Have you ever played the classic board game Monopoly? If so, are you familiar with the game's official mascot, Rich Uncle Pennybags? Picture him in your mind. Once you have that picture, can you name 3 items Rich Uncle Pennybags always wears or uses? If you named a top hat, a tuxedo jacket, or a cane, you are correct. However, if you named a monocle, you are incorrect. You, like many others, may be surprised to learn that Rich Uncle Pennybags has never been officially depicted with a monocle. Nevertheless, many people have a very clear picture in their head of him wearing one. Why is that? The likely scientific explanation is related to how the brain processes and stores associations and memories. The brain's tendency to process information by creating shortcuts and associations gives rise to a phenomenon called unconscious bias or implicit bias. Implicit simply means we are not consciously aware of something, or we are mistaken about our own conscious beliefs. In fact, an implicit bias often contradicts our sincerely held conscious beliefs. Bias means a judgment of someone or something based on false information or stereotypes. Before we learn more about implicit bias, let's dive a little deeper into what is going on inside our brains and what gives rise to this phenomenon. At any given moment, your brain is surrounded by millions of inputs. The average human brain can only process around 40 of these inputs at any given time. In order to assist with the non-stop barrage of data inputs, our brain creates shortcuts and associations so that we can quickly recognize whether or not we're in danger. These shortcuts and associations can also attach to certain people based on their external characteristics, such as race, age, disability, or gender. Implicit bias happens when our brain uses these shortcuts and associations to create false beliefs about a person or a group of people because of their physical characteristics. These false beliefs can be shaped by a variety of inputs, including people we know or have observed, how different groups are portrayed in films and television, social media images, news, music, jokes we've heard, conversations we've had, and a lifetime of other inputs, most of which we do not consciously remember. These inputs can be true or false, but with implicit bias, they attach in a way that creates false impressions. For example, you know a female with red hair who owns a cat. This fact is true, but your brain may create a shortcut that makes you subconsciously associate red hair and female with cat owner. Now you see another red-haired female and think, she's a cat person. This may be true, but it may be false. Let's go back to our friend, Rich Uncle Pennybags. Implicit bias helps explain why so many people clearly and confidently remember him wearing a monocle when, in fact, he never wore one. The human brain takes the image of the wealthy, older white male wearing a top hat and tuxedo jacket and links or associates this image with other similarly depicted characters stored in its memory bank. If one or more of these similar memories includes a male wearing a monocle, that impression can falsely attach to the memory of Rich Uncle Pennybags, creating the image in the mind of him with a monocle, even if he doesn't have one in reality. Beyond monocles and cat ownership, implicit bias can create false impressions of coworkers that unknowingly impact the workplace. For example, Jim helps maintain the company's bus fleet. Sally returns her bus and tells him the steering wheel is out of alignment. Jim believes females and males should be treated equally in the workplace, but subconsciously he holds a belief that females have limited knowledge of bus maintenance issues. Because of this implicit bias, he does not take Sally's complaint seriously and assume there is nothing wrong with the bus's steering alignment. This puts future passengers and Sally at risk. So if by definition we are unaware of our implicit biases, how do we safeguard ourselves, our peers, and our companies from them? Awareness is the first and most important step, but it cannot be the only step. We encourage you to seek additional resources, which are listed in the notes below to help educate yourself on the topic. There are proven ways to lessen the impact of bias in the workplace if you are truly committed to doing so. Additionally, be mindful of how you make decisions or perceive others in the workplace. If you find yourself relying on gut feelings, always pause and second guess where those gut feelings are coming from. Always look for objective criteria when making important decisions. Another strategy is to help your brain by providing it with positive inputs to minimize false negative stereotypes. Try to connect with people with diverse backgrounds from your own. Meaningful relationships with people from different backgrounds are the best way to dispel false and negative stereotypes. Conversely, avoid negative inputs that perpetuate negative stereotypes. In summary, implicit bias happens in many forms and for many reasons. It poses a risk to both individuals and entire organizations. There cannot be fairness for all employees in the workplace unless people are evaluated based on their actual knowledge and skills, without such evaluations being clouded by bias. Implicit bias harms not only the individual, but the organization that fails to foster the talents and contributions of its entire workforce.